What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk, a special episode because I know that we usually go on Fridays, but we're doing, special occasions, special day, all that. We were on last night and we're on tonight, so this is a special treat for you. And as usual, we have the most interesting, the most business minded, the most bossiest of bosses on our show. Tonight is no different. We have Miss Tanita Brinkley. She is an award-winning accountant, a conference host, a business owner. She is a facilitator, one of the facilitators on the upcoming Secure the Bag conference. I don't want to steal her thunder. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Tanita and her movement, I'll give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and just give a little background to who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, Miss Tanita, it's on you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike, for having me. I'm Tanita Brinkley. I'm the owner of Tanita Brinkley Enterprises. I'm a small business accountant and conference host. I'm the founder of the Secure the Bag conference. So as you just said, yes, I'm facilitating the 4th annual conference, and the keynote speaker this year is Mr. Damon Dash. So we're excited about that. Thank you so much.
Wow. Now, first off, how'd you get Damon Dash? How'd you do that?
How did I get? Believe it or not, his team called me.
Wow. Okay.
They called me. They reached out and they wanted to see, how we could just collaborate for the conference. First of all, they wanted to see if I booked a keynote speaker already. And luckily enough, I had not at the time. So it was perfect timing, and the offer was perfect as well because it was a package deal where they came on as sponsors as well as the keynote speaker.
Wow.
So he and his wife, Raquel, will be in the building representing as sponsors with a vendor table, selling the CEO merch and her children's book as well. And then, we're going to get into the mogul talk that Dame normally partakes in. So we'll hear a lot of jewels from him as well.
Okay. Well, I just had to know, but we're gonna kind of back up. We're gonna kind of go a little backward. So let's start from the beginning. I like to start from the beginning. Being an accountant, like, what's the beginning? Where does it all start?
The beginning was high school. So first of all, women, we don't tell our age, but I'm far past high school right about now. So this was many years ago, but it started in the office of my guidance counselor. And I asked a question. I said, hey, I'm good at math right now. So what type of professions do people like me have a career in? So they gave me a few suggestions. One was a math teacher, accountant, or accounting professor. So I was like, I don't necessarily want to be a teacher or professor right now, So let me see what this accounting thing is about. So I did a little research, found a school. I went to St. John's University, and they had an accounting department there. So I really just took a stab at it. It's not something that I could say that, I woke up one day and I knew that I was going to be an accountant. But it worked out. And as my love for math decreased, my love for analyzing numbers increased. So it was like, this is perfect. I love to just understand what the numbers are saying because it tells a story. When you dig deep into the finances of a business, you can really understand the entire company just by looking at its financial statements. So that became something really interesting to me.
That is amazing because many of us, and I mean, you know what I mean by us, we don't necessarily gravitate to that type of profession. So I tip my hats just based off of that. You get my respect for that. So going forward, what has it been like? Like, what has the whole process been like for you? Like, was
Yeah,
something is this whole accounting and the numbers analysis? I mean, I know that you did it and you
yeah,
did it. However, was it you? Like, did it feel right? Or was it just something that a lot of us do? We just do what we are
right.
good at, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
what did it
Yeah,
feel right initially?
yeah. It actually did. It felt so right that it just became my life. I mean, being an accountant is my profession, but it actually curbed my lifestyle as well. So I'm very, calculated in my personal life as well. So
Mhm.
the way it went for me was when I went to St. John's University, I majored in accounting. And then, the school, they had a lot of connections with major corporations and accounting firms who were looking for talent. So there were people who would come to the university to find interns. So I applied for this internship called Inroads. I'm not sure if they have Inroads out here in the 757, but Inroads was basically an internship program for college students who were looking to go into the professional world. And it kind of bridged the gap so that we wouldn't have to be online searching for jobs and filling out job applications. We were able to get like profession specific internships that would give us on the job experience for the career path that we wanted to take. So I applied for the program and luckily I got in.
You froze. She froze for a second. So
Yeah, my connection is buffering. We still here? Okay,
yes.
so yeah. I applied for the program and luckily I got in. I got in by the skin of my teeth because I think I was like just almost like 1 point on target. I was like, whoo,
Right.
thank you. So
Right.
I got in there and it was the best thing because I got connected with the accounting firm of my dream, which was PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the big four accounting firms. I
Okay.
started there with an internship. And then eventually, once I graduated from college, they brought me on as a full-time, entry-level accountant.
Mhm.
And the field that I started in was auditing.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
was auditing companies like Sony, Goldman Sachs, Time Warner, you name it. Big corporations in New York. I was working on Wall Street and just feeling like I was in my professional era.
Right. Right. So when you say audit, like what do you mean? Like you're inspecting their spending, their what I mean,
Yes.
what does that entail?
Literally inspecting spending. So, for instance, over at Goldman Sachs, right, I was on the consolidations team. So we had an office on the top floor. There was no AC. They hated us. They were like, oh, those auditors, here they go again. So literally, I had to go downstairs every day and talk to people in different departments to get receipts, ledgers, any kind of backup source documents that validated the numbers that were in the financial statements. So, for instance, like every quarter, major corporations have to release their financials for, their investors, their stockholders and such, so that people can just understand the financial integrity of the company. But
Right.
before they can release these numbers, they have to be audited by an accredited accounting firm to make sure that the people aren't relying on fake numbers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we would be in there day and night and there would be a deadline for when we have to have all these numbers verified. So I'm going through financials and emailing people asking them for copies of bank statements and receipt books and checkbooks and matching the checkbook to the transactions in the ledger and all that kind of good stuff and making sure everything ties out.
Wow. That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
that is really amazing. So you're a New York City native, correct?
Yes, I am.
So what brought you to Virginia to do your business?
Well, they say Virginia is for lovers.
Okay.
So, so way back when love was all in the air and stuff like that, about
Okay.
15 years ago, or whatever.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I moved to Virginia. I had a love interest, and he and I got married and everything like that. And we actually started a business together. So
Gotcha.
about 5 years ago, I branched off on my own, and just continued to pursue my accounting career as an independent accountant.
Gotcha.
So, so I'll take you back a little bit more. So, 13 years ago, July, I quit my job, my full-time
Wow.
job. That
Okay.
accounting career was great for the knowledge that it gave me, but it consumed my time so much. I
Hmm.
couldn't be who I wanted to be. And
Right.
even at that job, the role that they had me in, I felt like it wasn't even big enough for my personality or the knowledge that I brought to the table and the ideas that I had. I couldn't
Mm.
even give ideas to improve the processes and systems. So, it was like, my time is ticking here. And plus, I want to spend time with my little boyfriend or whatever at the time he was. So it was just like, look,
Okay.
I need to get up out of here and do my own thing. So
Right.
July of 2010, I quit my job and went full time in my own practice.
Mm. Okay. So when you when you quit your job, was it from scratch? Like, did you have clientele? Did you leave with clientele, or were
Whew,
you had to start from zero?
I need a sip of water for this one. No clientele from
Wow.
scratch. I mean, all I had other streams of income, like smaller streams of income, nothing so promising that it would, make me rich or anything like that. But it was enough for me to just say, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna do it. Take this leap of faith and quit this job. I had the knowledge. I had already been helping churches with their finances, right? Because my ex-husband, his dad is a pastor. So the
Okay.
first project, which was what gave me my confidence, was when the church needed financials for a refi. So they were refinancing their mortgage and everything like that. And they were like, oh, we need some financials. They're asking for something called a profit and loss statement. And I'm like, oh, that's my arena. That's my area. So I
Yeah.
got that. So I stayed up all night preparing this profit and loss statement. When I look at it now, I want to throw up because I'm like, oh my gosh, that was my beginning stages. But it worked. It
Right.
helped them get their refi, and the church expanded and did everything they needed to do, and it boosted my confidence through the roof.
Mhm.
So I felt that I have what it takes. I just need to get what's in my brain down on paper to create these systems and processes so I can go full force in my own operation.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, Being the head of any organization, you're the boss. I mean, everything comes through you. You see everything, good, bad, indifferent. Um, how do you not it or is it a challenge for you to take is it still a challenge for you not to take your work home with you? Like, is that because you see so many, I'm sure you got numbers constantly dancing in your head. You
Oh
see
yeah.
all types of loss, you see all types of different things. So how hard is it for you not to take your work home with
It's very hard. I force myself to leave my laptop at the office, especially during the off season, so I could have some kind of work life balance. But it
you?
still plays in my head. And then we have these things called smartphones, so it's
Right,
easy to check your email. I'm like,
right,
if you go in my phone, my recent apps open are my email, my bank account, and Facebook.
right,
Those are the
right,
three that I
right.
use the most. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So it's hard to cut it off because I'm passionate about what I do, but I try to force myself to have some sort of work life balance. So I'll, close out the apps and just try to tune in to my kids and my family and stuff like that. But trust me, it's hard because I hate to. I try to help everybody, and sometimes it means sacrificing my personal time to be there for people and help through their situations. And I had to learn how to cut it off. So that's something I'm still working on.
Understood. How has being your own boss, how has that, if you could name one thing about yourself that you learned about yourself once you started becoming your own boss, what would be the most pronounced thing that you could name about yourself that you might not have necessarily known about yourself prior to?
Yeah. I would say that I tend to do business with my heart. And
Mm,
I think in this world, well, especially in America, like there's so many sharks out here, people who just, I don't know, have more of a cutthroat type of way of being and doing business. And me, as as a person that truly wants to help people, I'm in this profession because I love helping people. It tends to be challenging because I'll overcommit sometimes, and in order to keep keep professionalism,
right,
sometimes
right,
I have to just make sure that I'm not overcommitting and under delivering,
right,
but I want to help, but I had to learn how to say no, I'm not able to, although I want to, I just can't.
right.
So I learned that about myself, that I do business with my heart, and it causes me to at times overcommit. So I try to just be mindful of that and allow my office to be the manager of the projects. So
Mhm.
now I kind of put something in place where I'll say, well, I'd love to help you. So here's my office number. Call my office manager so that she can get you on the schedule. Because me, I'll say, okay, meet me at the office in 5 minutes. I'll be right there. And I'm like, no, hold on. I'm supposed to go to dinner with my cousin.
Right,
So now I have this thing where I
right.
tell them, call my office, because my office manager, she knows my heart. So she'll say, no, Miss Brinkley, no, that's your personal time. You need to be so we here. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, my office manager, she just keeps me in line because she understands the struggles that I have. And I think that's what a lot of us need to do, put people in place to help us to execute the systems that we put in place for our business, so that we, as the owners of the company, don't do too much overcommitting and under delivering because we're doing business with our heart.
Right. Wow. That's a listen, that's a bar. That's a bar.
Yeah.
Um, do I'm trying to frame this correctly. Um, when you're working with people, and I've spoken to I've had other business owners on that do things similar to what you do. Not maybe not quite on your level, but they say that anytime you deal with people and their finances, right? Especially when you're trying to correct them, correct how they do their finances.
Hmm.
Um, it's like they come to you for assistance. They come to you for help, but then they make it super difficult for them to help you because once you start digging into their business, they become offended and they don't want to give you all the information. They want to give you what they want to give you.
Yeah.
Is that something that you deal with in your profession? Like people
Yes.
come to you, but then they don't all the way want to come to you, if that makes sense.
Yep. It happens every day. I find it the most with churches. It's something with preachers. I don't know. Maybe it's a culture in the church that
Mhm.
they don't really like to talk about money, but it's a very important topic, and there's compliance, things that they have to keep up with. So we have to talk about money. We have to talk about financial statements and financial reporting. But yeah, it's a challenge. People like to stick with their own way, and the fact that nothing's ever happened to them in an adverse way, they think like,
Mhm.
why change? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I'm like, it is broke, We need to fix it, and it'll be in your best interest to do it now versus later, so that you don't have any kind of retroactive issues.
That's a fact. So what would you say is the biggest mistake people would make when they come to you?
Hmm. Okay, I say the biggest mistake that I see is people creating businesses and they don't understand the entity that they've set up. So I had one person say, I created a corporation because it sounded dope. I was like, oh, because it sounds dope. But
Right,
she was like, I
right,
just want to be Inc. Refer to me as incorporated. I was like,
right.
okay, but do you understand that there are some requirements, IRS reporting requirements that come with that? And they did not understand it. They were filing their taxes the traditional way as if they were a regular LLC instead of a corporation. So they really did not understand what they've gotten themselves into. So we had to do a huge cleanup to get it straight.
Mhm.
So to answer the question, I'd say the biggest thing that I run into is that people are so adamant about forming a business that they jump into it without consultation, and they don't understand their requirements and obligations, and then they'll get hit with a letter or just find out later that they've been filing their taxes incorrectly and then have to go back and do a lot of correcting.
Wow. Wow. So is there anyone that you will not help?
Ah, I don't think there's anyone, because like I said, that thing where I do business with my heart, I don't think it's in me to turn anyone down. I mean, even if there's a person who probably fired me and then came back and needed my help again, I probably would still help them. So I'd say no, there's not anyone I wouldn't help. I probably wouldn't take on a project that's too big, because that would be that overcommitting thing again. So
Right.
so in that aspect, yeah, there are people I probably wouldn't help because I can't, because I don't, have the manpower to be able to take on the project. But yeah, I help small businesses, churches, individuals, influencers, self-employed individuals, ministers, evangelists, you name it. If you're self-employed, then I can help you.
Wow. Okay. So at this point, and I'm speaking strictly professionally. Um, what's the hardest thing for you not to do at this point in your career?
The hardest thing hardest thing not to do. Uh, I say the hardest thing not to do. It's like I don't know if it's the New York in me. I don't know. You're from New York too. Tell me if you
Yeah.
have this issue. But the hardest
Okay.
thing not to do is think about business. My
Right.
friends tell me every day, you're so business. You're just business. You're always thinking about business. You're always talking about business. But
Right.
I think I have a empire state of mind.
Right.
Like
Right.
every day, I'm thinking of ways to build my company, help my clients, form new entities to create new streams of income. I feel like when we're in our working age, we need to be working.
That's a fact.
And if
That's a
I
fact.
was working, if I was working for that major corporation, they would probably be having me on the clock overtime without paying me overtime. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
I
Right.
put that same energy into my own operations. And so the thing that's hard not to do is it's hard not to think about growing my businesses.
Right. And I feel you on that. And no, no disrespect to any other uh region of the United States,
Okay, right?
but I feel you. Be when you're in New York and it's a certain energy that you feel, and you feel like if you're not working,
Mhm.
somebody else is working. And they may get what you feel like you're supposed to get. So you feel like you're always you're always trying to figure out your next move. You're
Yeah.
always two,
Yeah.
three, four, trying to be 2, 3, 4 steps ahead.
Of your own
Your
self.
mind is always clicking, even when you
Yes.
sleep.
I can't turn it off. I don't know how to turn it off.
Right. That's a fact. I get it. I get it. I get it completely. Because I even, I'm not from the city, but I still feel that energy. I definitely understand, where you're coming from on that. That's definitely the same type of time that I'm on. Family. Let's talk about family.
Yes.
What role does your family play in your journey?
Major role. My mom, she's the one. My mom is still in New York and I'm in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So with that distance, she'll hop on a plane in a heartbeat to be at all of my events, front and center, cheering me on. You know, I really appreciate that because she's a full-time nurse and she barely takes time off of work. Like she doesn't do days off. I had to convince her, like, Mom, you need time off of work. That's
Right.
probably where I get it from too, by the way.
Right. Got you.
But yeah, so my mom, she definitely is a huge supporter. My family, although, like I said, we have distance between us, social media keeps us close, the phone, FaceTime, and everything like that. So we definitely keep in close contact. And I really thank my family for being supportive because that's hard to come by. People talk all the time about how family don't support them, but my family definitely shows up. And I'm just hoping that more of them would be willing to come out. But my immediate family is definitely on game.
Right. Okay. You made me lose my train of thought.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, are you I guess you probably answered the question already, but I was wondering, like, are you a stop and smell the roses type of person, or are you like, okay, this is done, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next?
A little of both. I would say a little bit of both. The majority is on to the next, but then I realized, like, okay, you do have to stop and smell the roses, especially when you're achieving goals and you're breaking chains and barriers for people that are close to you and they're seeing like, oh wow, you can become numb to certain accomplishments because you want to keep going and you're like, okay, well, that's not necessarily where my end game is, so I'm not so hyped about doing that. That's just one of the things on my to-do list. But I started to realize, you know what, hold on, these things are major accomplishments though, because you're exceeding your own expectations, you're exceeding your family's expectations and people around you, and they're all like, oh my gosh, keep going, woo woo woo. So the mind frame of keeping going could cause you to not stop and appreciate the small steps that you've made. So in recent times, I've started to anniversarize. Am I creating a word? I don't know.
Right.
All Webster for me, but anniversarize some things. So at least if I remember that every year in July, I'm celebrating that I, quit my job. I went full-time self-employed. So every July, I'll be celebrating my self-employment journey. But then there's, every October, I'm celebrating Secure the Bag Conference. And, every January, I have something else going on. So I try to just remember everything by marking the date so that each year when it comes around, I can remember that accomplishment.
Okay. That's amazing. That is amazing. I'm gonna give you a scenario, right? And this is a scenario I've used on, with other guests or whatever. I just want to see if you've encountered this.
Okay.
Okay. Anytime you branch out, especially when you talk about quitting your job to pursue something solely for yourself, you have two groups of people usually. And let me start by saying that these two groups of people, they are not haters. These two groups of people, they genuinely love you and want the best for you, right? So I'm going to give you that disclaimer first. But you have one side that says, "Hey, Tanita, um, I know some people who tried to do some of the things that you did or that you are doing, and they lost a lot of money. Excuse me, they lost a lot of money. They lost a lot of time. They ended up going back and getting another job. Da, 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 da. Maybe you need to rethink this."
Mm.
But then you got this people on the other side that are saying, "Hey, Tanita, you're not moving fast enough. You need to be like Earn Your Leisure. You need to be like Boyce Watkins. You need to be like all these people. Da, 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 da. You moving too slow. Where your podcast at? Where your videos at? Where your promotional tour at? Where da 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 da?"
Oh,
So you got
yes.
so you got one side that's saying that you're not doing enough, but then you got another side that's saying you're doing too much. So is that something that you've experienced in your journey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think people who may feel that I'm doing too much, they may not necessarily just flat out and say you're doing too much.
Mhm.
But oh, don't let me make a mistake though. Don't let something happen. And it's like, well, do you think you might be doing a little too much? And I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going harder.
Right,
Because no, don't tell me I'm doing too much. Just help me with this whole fiasco that I got going on. Just help me if you love me.
right,
But
right.
I've also experienced people saying, okay, no, you need to do this. Oh, come on, you need to be on Facebook. Come on, make sure you're posting at 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 6 o'clock, 8. Like,
Right,
it's like,
right,
oh my gosh, overwhelmed.
right, right.
Like, hold on a second. So yeah, I try to find a happy medium to incorporate both. Just taking my time, paying attention to detail, delegating. Oh, that's been one of my major growth spurts recently, learning to delegate, because I was horrible at that. Like I said, that overcommitting thing, that's real. And it would be all on me too. So I'll overcommit and then it's all on me. And now I'm buried in work while everyone else is having fun. Kids saying, mommy, mommy, feed me, feed me. And I'm like, oh, give me one more second for this reconciliation.
Right, right, right.
So yeah, but finding that happy medium, learning to delegate, and just telling my family, look, if you think I'm doing too much, just help me with this thing, and we work it out.
Okay. So this will be my last question as far as the entrepreneurship part.
Okay.
Okay, so because I'm trying to break it up into sections, we're gonna go into the secure the bag in
Okay.
a second.
All right.
So you're a business owner. You are a woman. You are,
Yes.
a young woman. And in order to be effective in what you do, you have to be assertive, you have to be decisive, and you have to actually know what you're doing most of the time. So, how does that work in your personal life? More specifically, your dating life.
Okay.
Do you find yourself do you find that men are intimidated maybe, or maybe they feel like maybe they just can't keep up, or maybe you you have to tone feel like you have to tone yourself down a bit? Like,
Mm.
are you the same person? Can you be the same person? You know what I'm
Mm. Can I be the same person? Can I take a sip of my water on that one too?
saying? Sure.
Yeah. Um. Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, the person I am in the office on the job definitely is not the same person that I am at home or in my dating life. But at the same time, I am a bit bossy and a bit uh assertive. And I think when it comes to men, I don't necessarily think a man would be intimidated by me, but our personalities may not mesh if he's not
A go-getter.
he needs to be, yeah, he needs to be a more alpha, a super alpha.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
And just have confidence in knowing that, what the things that his lady is doing is for the greater good of us all, So I've definitely had a great support system though. People that are in my life get really behind me and push me further because they see my heart first. People who like truly love me will see my heart first and see that I truly do love helping people, and it's not just within my profession. So when they
Right.
see that, they're like, oh, this is good, like you really love this. You're not
Right.
just doing it because you want to earn money. So it's like it allows me to gain genuine support from my loved ones. So the head button and intimidation would be very slim in a situation where there's genuine love.
Wow. Okay. That's deep. That's deep. Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave you alone on that
Okay, all right, bet.
one. Because I see you a little bit uncomfortable. But
No.
secure the bag. Let's talk about that.
All right.
What is secure the bag?
Secure the Bag is an annual conference for entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs to come and network. Within that, there's panel discussions from seasoned entrepreneurs. We even have a keynote speaker um, each year. So we've been bringing in celebrities who are entrepreneurs who can kind of just shed light on their journey and how they overcame things
Mhm.
within their entrepreneurial journey. So it's a space for business owners to come and connect, learn,
Mhm.
and grow together.
Now you said that this was like the fourth annual, so you've been doing this for at least 4 years. So like what prompted you to even create this entity?
Yeah. Oh, that's good because there's several different reasons. It's two main reasons though. So the first thing is I was going through a divorce when I first started it. So this
Got
was the idea came up in 2019. And at that time, I had already been like self-employed for probably about 9 years already. So I'm already a seasoned entrepreneur, but I had hit a pitfall in my life where I had to start from scratch. I had to start over. So I still had my intellectual property, but I technically had to rebuild my business.
you. Right.
So I was in a place where I had to get out and network. I had to meet people and shake hands. But every
Mhm.
networking event that I went to, it was like so intimidating. The vibe wasn't what I wanted it to be. I would go networking, but I wouldn't leave with any connects. Like I would really be in there and just feeling like, oh wow, I really need to practice networking because this is intimidating. And then I realized it's not me. It's I need to just create the type of event that I feel comfortable in because there are probably many people who are just like me who would attend certain events and feel so intimidated that they don't even benefit from the networking event itself.
Mhm.
So a good friend of mine challenged me to do an event. She was just like, I was a part of a group, and actually everyone got challenged to do an event, and I was just like, girl, I'm hurting right now. I'm going through a divorce. I'm not thinking about nobody's event.
Right.
But the challenge was great because it pushed me to look past my current circumstance and dig deeper into the intellectual property that I had gained along the way. And even in these failed attempts to network in the past, I took all that knowledge and put it all together in one pot to see, what could I create? And I instantly thought of the name. It was like Secure the Bag. Secure the Bag. I'm like, oh wow, I could expand on this. Secure the bag.
Mhm.
Because to me, securing the bag is not just about getting a check. It's
Right.
about securing lasting relationships with people who can put you in rooms that you need to be in,
Mhm.
connecting you with other professionals that have what you need. Just being connected is to me, that's the bag because something could go wrong in one business, but then, you know, you meet another person who's ready to start a whole new joint venture with you that's going to take you skyrocketing through the roof. Or
Right.
somebody that can just drop a jewel on you and say, hey, why don't you just cross that T and dot that I? And now, you know, it just became life changing. So I value great business relationships. And anybody that's in my life would kind of be inspired to either start a business or just want to kind of connect on a business level so that we can grow together. Because that's one of my mottos, lifting as we climb. If I'm climbing, that means I'm learning and growing. I'm learning and growing. I'm ever growing. I'm evolving.
Right.
I definitely would want to be lifting as I climb. So that means sharing information, sharing knowledge, giving connections where I find necessary. Just keeping a network of people who can help each other.
I mean, I feel you because I've gone to a few of these events, and it seems like everybody it's supposed to be a networking event, but when you
Yeah.
get there, it feels like everybody knows each other already, and it's more so about patting each other on the back than it is necessarily networking, and you feel like you're the only person that's not in the club. You get what I'm saying? And so I definitely feel you on that. So with that being said, what makes Secure the Bag different than your garden variety conference?
Man, it's down to earth. We play rap music. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
No, what makes it different though is just the vibe. Me as the host, I definitely try to be as welcoming as possible when it comes to just, you know, greeting people and encouraging people to network. I try to help people get their business out there by offering different ways to promote in front of the audience. So if you are an introvert and you are like afraid to shake hands and you know you're like I'm in my shell, in my turtle shell today, you can still get your business out there because I have promo packages where you can put your flyers inside of all the VIP swag bags. You can also have time on the microphone during the intermission and during the sponsor highlights segment where you can talk about your business and tell people what it is that you do. And you know, or you can get a vendor table. You can be, you know, selling your product at a vendor table and people will, you know, walk by and see what it is that you're selling. And that'll just kind of put you in a place where you're able to shake hands organically with people instead of just walking up to someone, shaking their hand and just saying, hey, what do you do? You'll have something to offer. You have something to talk about.
Right.
And if you're just somebody who doesn't have much to talk about and you're just there to soak it all in, then I say wear a statement piece. Wear something that says I am a boss. I don't know, something that's going to make people just want to talk to you and say, hey, I like that shirt of yours. And then now you have a conversation piece. So what makes the Secure the Bag conference different is the down to earth nature of the event itself. The host is super outgoing, so he'll probably be in the audience asking you what's your name and where you're from, just causing people to get out of their shell and open up versus, you know, the typical keynote where a person is on stage behind a podium just standing there reciting a speech and then it's over and then everyone claps and then it's over. No, this one you probably going to see, you know, the host walking through the audience and just calling people out and say, hey, you, what's your name and where you from? And then hand you the mic and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm from New York.
Right.
But then when you go home, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did that. And then it'll make you just want to be more outgoing again and again.
Wow. So who have you been most surprised to find out knew about your movement?
Say that again.
Who have you been most surprised to find out knew who you were? Like knew about Secure the Bag or knew about something that you were doing? Who have you been most surprised to find out had heard of you?
Yeah, you know what? I would say the biggest one would be Dame Dash and the Dash Group LLC. That one was major. But the person that contacted me is local. So they heard about what I have going on. She knows about what I have going on, and she contacted me. So I would say that's the biggest one. But then the most effective ones though are the ones like me just sitting in a nail salon or something like that. And I I wear my shades. I have a tendency to wear shades on like when I'm out and about in places. So, I'll just be in my own little comfort zone, and then someone would be like, secure the bag. They'll just call me secure the bag. I'm like, that's not my name. But hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
It'd be the random people for me, the people who will just recognize me and be like, hey, I think saw you on Instagram. Because I put my own face on my flyers. A lot of people don't like to stand in front of their brand. That's another thing that I've been pushing myself to do, be more in front of my brand versus behind my brand. So I put my face on my own flyers. I put my own name on my flyers. I'm very much in front of my brand. So if someone says Tanita, they're like, oh, I heard of that name. That's Secure the Bag, or that's the accountant. So I say the random people who see me out in the supermarket or in the nail salon or the hair salon and say they recognize me because they saw a flyer or some kind of promo ad or heard me on the radio. Those are the most I guess ones that make me happy, because it's like, oh, I'm reaching the people right here where I live, where I work.
Right. So that's an excellent segue into my next question. When we talk about businesses and things that we are representing, it's important. And I'm a firm believer in it as well, that you become the main spokesperson for whatever it is that you're promoting. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's fashion or perfume or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you are you have a very striking appearance, and people will gravitate. People gravitate to you. Now, I'm sure people gravitate to you naturally just based off of that. But from a business standpoint, do you ever feel like that's a help or a hindrance, or do you even notice it one way or the other? Is that a thing? Like
It's
people
definitely
might
a thing.
say, yeah, people might be
I
like,
believe
oh,
it's definitely a thing.
yeah.
Is
they
it?
might they might be like, oh, she's too pretty to do good, to know anything about anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that something that you've experienced?
Okay, there we go. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Okay, she's buffering, so
Yeah, there we go.
I
I'm
gave her
good. I'm back.
couple of seconds to kind of think of her.
So you said, is it a help or a hindrance? I would
Yeah.
say it's a help. It's a help.
Mhm.
Because we're in this day and age that we're in, people really only like doing business with someone who looks like they know what they're talking about. And a person who looks like they know what they're talking about is one who I guess is well groomed. They keep themselves up, because how could you take financial tips from a person who doesn't look like they even have money? How
Right.
could you buy a car from someone riding a bike? I heard that from one of my friends or whatever. How could you buy cologne from somebody who smells bad? You know what I mean? Like, just make it make sense. So
Right.
I feel like
Right.
to grow in any profession, you definitely have to invest in yourself. And people invest in themselves in different ways, So at least for me, keeping myself up definitely helps within what helps with my audience. They want to see me looking good. That helps them to understand that I'm doing okay, and that makes them want to gravitate. Nobody wants to gravitate to someone who's not doing okay. That energy is transferable.
Wow. That's a bar too. um, so secure the bag. How long is it? One day? Is it a weekend? How long is it?
So it's one day for now. People have been encouraging me to turn it into a weekend, but
Mhm.
it's already overwhelming in itself right now with my current business, accounting services, and to have the conference. So it's a one day event. It's from 1 to 5 p.m. So it's a 4 hour. And within that 4 hours, I mean, we do everything from shop with vendors, hear panel discussions from male entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs. We hear people come up and talk about their business. It's a lot that happens, and then there's the celebrity keynote speaker. We've also this year added a youth panel because throughout my journey, I started seeing there's some young entrepreneurs who are trailblazing around here. I was like, oh, you know what? We need
Absolutely.
to try and tap in so that they can start getting exposed to these types of environments earlier on. I
That's absolutely a fact. I mean, I read about kids all the time. Like I saw a young lady uh get a contract with Whole Foods for lemonade. You know what I'm saying? Like 11, I think like a 10 or $11 million or something like that. So when you see that, it's definitely it's definitely inspiring, and it lets you know that you can learn from anybody. It
Yes,
doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be an elderly person, you know what I'm saying, to learn from them. You can learn from, you know, the youngest to the oldest.
it's
Even if
true.
even if you're learning what not to do.
Exactly. And then even with the youth, I think it's super dope to just expose them to the environment.
Yeah,
Public speaking may not come easy, so to have them get up there and just say their name and the name of their business and what it is that they do, they may be a little shy or whatever and need someone to hold their hand. But I'd rather see a 12-year-old having their hand held than a 32-year-old, someone who is just now starting to branch out and start their business, and they're so shy that they can't even articulate themselves in a room of 200 people. So if we are starting to kind of pour into the youth while they're in their younger ages, I think we can break those barriers of fear of public speaking, nervousness on the microphone, and
right.
the ability to articulate who you are and what you do within a matter of 30 seconds. I think that's something that we can learn when we're young, so
Right.
that as we get older, our articulation is just through the roof now.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Who are some of the who are I know you have Dame Dash coming this year, but who are some of the people that you've had in prior years?
Yes. Okay. So the first year, I had a local. I would call her a local celebrity. I mean, she's a certified business coach. Her name is Kiani Bryan. And
Okay.
the approach with that was for her to get all of the business owners together because
Hmm.
the knowledge that she has, and she's a woman of God. So
Hmm.
she just allowed God to use her in that room. And I mean, everybody was convicted to get their business in order because they had to, get some things straight. The
Right.
second year, I had Yandy Smith from Love and Hip Hop.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yandy Smith. That's pretty amazing. Like I eh, like how did you swing that?
Say that again. I had a little buffering
I said, how did you swing that?
with Yandy.
Yes.
Man, so I have been checking Yandy out on social media and just seeing her journey with Love and Hip Hop. So
Hmm.
I decided to just contact one of the people that I know locally who is a booking agent, and I said, "Hey, I want to bring Yandy, right?" And he was like, "Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea." And then since then, things started happening. Like, I mean, I'm talking about like I saw huge growth, like things that she was starting to get involved in. I was like, "Oh, this is great. This is great." Like, I know that even though she's on Love and Hip Hop, she has like an awesome business journey that started from nothing. I mean, just from her being at Howard University, graduating there and thinking that she was going to be in a major corporation, The Gap, and come to find out the department that she was in was no more. So she had to start from the bottom at Violator Records, cleaning offices and just filing papers. Because I want entrepreneurs to understand this is not an overnight thing. This is not a microwavable type of life. You really have to put in work. And I wanted to bring someone who is no stranger to that hard work. I guess it'll kind of help justify in my crazy mind that all this hard work that I'm doing is justifiable. But Yandy, I think she was the perfect person because she really truly started from the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
The next year I bought Rashida and Kurt Ross.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was good too. That was really good.
And they came through the same booking agent or whatever?
No, so I handled that one a little bit different. My friend encouraged me to just go out and seek. They were just like, you know what, you can do this. You can just go meet people and shake hands the same way you do around here. Just go and meet her. And I was like, oh, for real? You sure? Can I do that? So we take a trip to Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was Yandy's grand opening. So I had already had this connection with Yandy, and it was actually ongoing because after the Secure the Bag conference, she had made a reference that we need to connect again. So I definitely took her up on her offer. And lo and behold, she and I connected again in Baltimore. We both sat on a panel together. And then since then, she had opened up a restaurant. So I was like, let me go out there and support her restaurant. So I just called up my friends like, hey, let's go to Atlanta. And then while we're in Atlanta, we're going to stop by and see Rashida over at Frost Bistro, right?
Right.
So it was a whole plan. This was a whole plan. So we take a road trip out to Atlanta and we go to Yandy's grand opening at Dancing Crepes. And we having such a great time. The food was good. Music was booming. And then we looking at the front door and in comes
Rashida and Kurt. Gotcha. God's plan. God did. Wow, that's amazing.
Of course, it would start buffering at the time where I'm getting to the good part.
Yeah.
But in comes Rashida and Kurt, right? So okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying not to look starstruck because I just like saw some celebrities that I wanted to meet all along. So they on the other side of the building, they walk in and everybody's all hugging them and everything. And we're just sitting there, eating our lamb chops like, okay. Yeah. See you walk in the door. I even saw some more Love and Hip Hop people. It was a bunch of them. Emily B was there. What's the girl's name? Carly Red was there. A bunch of people. But anyhow, so Rashida, right? I walk up to her. I was like, hey, Rashida, I recently sent you an email inquiring about you speaking at the Secure the Bag conference. She was like, oh, I saw that. Is that you? I was like, yeah, that's me. Every October I have this event and I would love for you to be my keynote speaker. She was like, all right, I would love to. She said, she was like, next week, my office will get back to you so we can work on securing a deal. Man, that was so awesome. I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Because, I don't know if it's a New York thing or whatever, but being outgoing is a challenge. Moving to Virginia, it was a whole different culture. People actually speak to you when they see you. They're like, hello, good morning. Right. And then the New York, and you be like,
cringe, right? Right.
But no, we have to let our guards down and communicate and be willing to meet people. So with her being receptive to me coming up to her to talk to her and me putting my own fear aside and making that connection, I was like, yeah, this is a win. I'm winning. So it just made me want to just be more outgoing and encourage people to just don't be afraid. You can shake hands with anyone. I mean, the most they could say is no, I don't want to be involved in that. So try it, go for it, seek and pursue. Yeah, because I'm not from Atlanta. I don't even know the streets of Atlanta, but my friends and I hopped in the whip
Right.
drove to Atlanta and met Rashida and brought her back to the 757. So if I can do it, you can do it.
That's amazing. And I asked for personal reasons because doing this podcast, you reach out to people, and most times you get a response back, but sometimes
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 don't.
you don't, and it can be
Yeah,
it kind of discouraging at times, but you
it
just
could
gotta
be.
keep keep rolling with the punches or whatever. So I
That's true.
definitely, that's definitely inspirational to me personally. And it motivates me to just to keep reaching out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's really awesome. That's really awesome. Um Hour has already passed, man, and I don't want to keep you any longer. I have one official question. I have a bunch more questions, but I'm going to hold off from them.
Okay.
Um, This is my final question. This is a
Okay.
question that I ask all my guests. So when I ask you, just I just want you to take a moment and think about it and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. So here's the answer. Here's this question, rather. What would have to happen in your life if it has not happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you personally?
Mm. What would have to happen in my life? I would say peace, family, the ability to do what I want when I want. And that's so the things I like to do. We already talked about the things I like to do, start businesses.
Right.
Another thing I like to do is travel. So to me, success is just being able to um, travel when I want, have peace within my family, um, and then to be able to have something that I could pass down to my children.
Hmm. Okay. I definitely can give that. Definitely. Um, is is there I want to try to be a spoiler. Do you already have somebody lined up as a keynote speaker for next year?
For the Secure the Bag 5, you already trying to get me to spill the beans about something next year? Look, all right, so
Exclusive. Yes.
it's crazy because my team joked me the whole meeting last time we met. They were like, Miss Brinkley, you are really planning Secure the Bag 5 and number 4 at the same time? And is and am. No, I don't know who that is, but I have a few people in mind. So if you start seeing me taking trips, that means I'm seeking and pursuing, if you get what I'm saying.
It's one person. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to. I just my opinion, my suggestion. Um, this
Who's
person,
who?
he, Jim Jones.
Stop playing. He was gonna
Jim
be.
Jones.
I was gonna bring Jim Jones last year. No,
Oh
this
yeah,
year. But
yeah.
see, it got complicated with Jimmy because I don't know if you know about this ongoing beef that he has with Pusha T.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that.
That tells you I did my research. I was
That
gonna
would be.
bring Jimmy.
Yeah, that would be complicated. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's the one person. Like, of course, he's a rapper. I like his music, but he's somebody that even if he didn't do music, even if he was just a guy, I would I would pay attention to him.
that's
You
what's up.
like you know what I'm saying? I dig what he does. You know what I'm saying? But Miss Tanita, I appreciate you coming on
Thank you for having.
answering my request or whatever. If somebody saw something on this interview that resonated with them, or maybe they want advice, or maybe they need some of your accounting expertise. I don't know. Maybe they want to throw their hat in the ring to secure the bag for some way, shape, or form. How would they get in touch with you?
Oh my gosh. So there's several ways. The most direct way is to call my office, 757-937-9565. But I am reachable on Facebook, Instagram, by full name Tanita Brinkley, or Tanita Brinkley Enterprises, or Secure the Bag Conference. You can follow me on Instagram at Tanita Brinkley or at Secure the Bag VA, or visit my website. So I have two. So for accounting services and all updates on everything that I have going on, it's www.tanitatalksbusiness.com. For tickets to the fourth annual Secure the Bag Conference, visit www.securethebagconference.com.
All right, you got all the bases covered. I'm digging that. Absolutely. So again, I want to thank you for coming on. I know that we only scratched the surface of all that you do, and I, like I said, I have so many more questions, but I will resist the urge. But I will tell you that extend to you rather an invitation to come back anytime. If there's something that you want to promote, anything that you're doing that you want the community to hear about, consider this an open invitation to come on and do whatever you need to do. I got you. Let me know, and you come on the platform and let it out. Whatever you want to do. Again, I thank you and I appreciate you coming on the platform. I know that you have many things that you could be doing at this point in your day, but I appreciate you giving us a few minutes to to share a few nuggets and some of your experiences.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate you just having me on your platform so I can talk about all that I have going on to an audience that, probably doesn't know anything about me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, no problem. Thank you again, and I wish you many blessings on everything that you have going on, even the things that you may not even have imagined or envisioned yet. I wish you blessings on
Thank
even
you.
that. All
Thank you.
right. Well,
Yes, thank you.
you have an amazing night and an even more better rest of the weekend.
You too. You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Oh, can I leave him with a quote?
Sure, sure.
So this is a quote that I came up with a while ago, about 2 years ago. It says, even when the losses are high, you are still a winner.
Okay, I received that. All right. You have an amazing night.
You too. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Another amazing interview with another amazing guest, Miss Tanita Brinkley. She is a businesswoman. She is a host. Please check out her Secure the Bag conference. I think the last post she said it was like 29 days away. Maybe that has been adjusted. But please check that out. You got Dame Dash is coming as a keynote speaker. Listen. Anybody who's ever heard that guy speak, listen. He is definitely not one to hold his tongue. He definitely will tell it like it ti is, as the old people say. Um, and like usual, man, I encourage. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming on and watching and checking out the interview, because I know that you could be doing anything else besides this. So I'm truly appreciative of that. But I want to encourage you guys, as I always do. If there's something that you feel is God given that keeps you up at night, if there's anything, any business, any book, any script, any degree, any certification, any job, anything that you are aspiring to do that you feel like God has led you to do, I implore you to get up and start making way to do that thing right now. Um, for everything that God, every vision, God gives provision. So don't worry about what you don't have at this present moment. Don't worry about exactly all the things that you need at this present moment. But just make it known that this is the direction that you're going in. And you let people know that you're serious and that you mean what you say, and you want to be. And whatever it is that you're aspiring to be, you take hold of it and you own it right now. Because what happens is that we don't take it serious, so the people around us don't take it serious. And what happens is they'll say, "Oh, Mike, you doing that little podcast. I see you over there with that little podcast." You know what I'm saying? Nah, it's not a little podcast. It's a podcast. It's a serious podcast. I'm an influencer, a podcaster. And I take that serious, and I take hold of that title and that mantle and that responsibility. Because what people will do is that they will diminish it based off of how you present it. You know what I'm saying? If you take it as a, like, take it light, they're gonna take it light. So whatever it is, become it. Take hold of it. Walk as if you're it right now. Whether that be, a business owner, an athlete, a musician, an artist, a poet, a writer, anything that you aspire to do, you have to own it and be serious about it. So, with that, I will bid you guys adieu, and I will see you next week when we have another amazing guest on. So, with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. You have an awesome night and an awesome rest of the weekend. I'll holler at y'all next week. So, take care, and let's take a walk.